The night I drowned in his eyes and woke up as his curse. The rain came down in sheets, each drop cold enough to slice through my skin. The old wooden bridge beneath my feet groaned with every gust of wind, and the river below roared as if it too was tired of keeping secrets. The scent of wet wood and earth filled my lungs, and for a heartbeat I wondered if the world was trying to wash this moment away or preserve it. June stood a few feet from me, his face half hidden in shadow, half lit by the lightning that cracked the sky open like a cruel laugh. His dark hair clung to his forehead, and his lips were set in a line I'd never seen before. I'd seen him smile, smirk, even pout when things didn't go his way. But this was different. "Say something," I whispered, my voice barely audible over the storm. He didn't. His silence was louder than thunder. "June, please." My heart pounded so hard I felt it in my throat. My hands trembled at my sides, clenched so tight my nails bit into my palms. Another flash of lightning, and this time I saw her, Minji, a silhouette at the far end of the bridge, umbrella forgotten at her side, eyes locked on us like she was waiting for the final blow. And June gave it to me. "You were nothing but a convenient choice, Lina." The words were soft, almost kind, like he thought gentler delivery would dull the blade. Convenient? The word tasted bitter in my mouth. I laughed short, sharp, hollow. "After everything, after us." His gaze dropped to the wet planks of the bridge. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I thought I could, I don't know, make it work. But I love her. I always have." I stared at him, the storm fading into a dull roar behind the ringing in my ears. Convenient? That's what I'd been. The girl he turned to when Minji wasn't looking. The safe option. The fool. I felt my chest tighten, breath shallow, skin cold despite the warm rain. My mind raced memories of late-to-night walks, whispered promises, stolen kisses. All of them now felt like lies dressed up as hope. "You coward." The words escaped before I could stop them. "You let me believe in us because it was easier than being honest." He flinched, just barely. "I'm sorry," he said, and I hated how sincere he sounded. Another laugh bubbled up, sharp with pain. "Sorry doesn't fix this." My feet shifted. The bridge was slick, and I felt the world tilt beneath me. "Lina?" I stepped back, needing space, needing air, needing anything but him. My heel caught on the uneven plank. Time slowed. I felt the sudden emptiness behind me, the nothingness waiting to swallow me whole. His hand shot out, too late. The last thing I saw before the world turned to water was his face, eyes wide with shock, mouth forming my name. And then the river claimed me. The cold was instant, brutal. It wrapped around me, dragged me down. I kicked, fought, but the current was stronger, angrier. It pulled at my clothes, my hair, my hope. Above, lightning flashed again, and for a moment I saw the bridge, June leaning over the edge, shouting, reaching. Minji, still as stone, watching. My lungs burned. My vision blurred. So this is it, I thought. The fight leaving my limbs. This is how it ends. But the river wasn't just water. Beneath the surface, I felt something else. A pull not of the current, but of fate itself. A darkness, a whisper, a promise. "You won't die today, Lina Park." And the world went black. Darkness, heavy, endless, suffocating. Then, a breath. Shallow. My own? The air was colder than I remembered, tinged with something old, like damp stone and forgotten wood. I tried to move, but my limbs felt wrong. Heavy, foreign. My heartbeat echoed in my ears, frantic, uneven. I forced my eyes open. The ceiling above me was high, lined with thick beams of dark wood. The walls, stone, rough and ancient. Candlelight flickered in the corners, throwing long, trembling shadows across the room. A chill draft pushed at the shutters, making them creak against the night. Where was I? I tried to sit up, and the weight of my hair startled me, long, too long. It slid over my shoulder like silk, catching the candlelight. Silver. My breath hitched. My hands flew to my face. My fingers brushed skin so pale it almost felt cold, as if blood barely ran beneath it. I stumbled out of the bed, bare feet meeting cold stone, and nearly tripped over the edge of my gown, soft velvet, deep blue, embroidered with threads of silver. None of this was mine. There, in the far corner, half hidden behind a heavy curtain, stood a mirror. Gilded, tall enough to reflect every inch of this stranger I had become. I hesitated, heart pounding. Then I stepped closer, and saw her. Pale as moonlight. Hair like silver rain. Eyes, not mine. Violet, large and bright, even in the dim room. A faint mark curled along the side of her neck, like an old burn or a brand. My mouth opened in a silent gasp. This isn't me, but it was. I moved. She moved. I raised a shaking hand. So did she. I reached for the glass, fingertips meeting cold, warped reflection. What is this? The door creaked open behind me. I spun, heart leaping to my throat. A man stood in the doorway, tall, his broad shoulders framed by a dark cloak, damp at the edges. His hair, black as midnight, clung to his forehead. His face was all sharp lines and shadows, his eyes dark and unreadable. "You're awake?" His voice was steady, deep, but I caught the edge of something beneath it. Relief? Fear? I took a step back. My heel brushed the bedpost. Who are you?" He watched me, unmoving. "I am Kyle. Your knight?" The words felt like part of a play I hadn't rehearsed. "Knight? This isn't." I faltered, staring at him, at the room, at the gown clinging to my frame. My mind raced, trying to fit the pieces together. This is a dream. It has to be. Kyle stepped forward, slow, careful, as if afraid I might vanish if he moved too quickly. "My lady, you must sit. You shouldn't be standing yet. My lady." I shook my head, the weight of the silver hair swaying with the motion. "No. I'm not who you think I am." His brow furrowed, the smallest crease between his dark eyes. "Selene," he said softly, like the name itself was fragile. "You returned to us." Selene. The name rang in my ears, unfamiliar yet heavy, as if it carried centuries of sorrow. "Selene?" I whispered. Kyle's gaze softened, but his shoulders stayed tense, like a man standing at the edge of battle. "Yes, you have been gone so long. And now you are here." I staggered back, needing distance, needing sense. My reflection caught my eye again, the silver-haired woman in the mirror watching me with my own panic. "No, this isn't happening. I'm not her. I'm not Selene." Kyle didn't move, didn't flinch. His voice remained calm, though his hands clenched at his sides. "The gods have returned you. I do not question their will. But you must rest." "Please," I said, my voice breaking, tears stinging my eyes. "Tell me the truth. What is this place? Why do I look like this?" Kyle hesitated, then took another slow step closer, lowering his voice as if afraid the walls might overhear. "You are home, my lady. The castle by the sea of ashes. And you look as you always did." "Always?" The room spun, the cold seeped into my bones, and the truth hit harder than the storm outside. This isn't a dream. I wasn't Lina Park anymore. I was Selene, whoever she had been. The night air was sharp against my skin, as I followed Kyle through a narrow archway. The castle's cold stones pressing in on either side. We stepped into an open courtyard, and the world felt ancient. Above, the moon broke through the clouds, casting silver light across cracked marble tiles and statues too worn by time to recognize. Shadows danced between the columns, long and twisted. The scent of damp earth and sea salt filled my lungs. Kyle stopped at the center of the courtyard, near a fountain long dry. He glanced at me, then past me, toward the far end where a figure waited. She was small, cloaked, her shape hunched and gnarled like the bare trees beyond the walls. The hood of her tattered robe hid most of her face, but when she raised her head, I saw eyes that were neither black nor white, but clouded like smoke, seeing something beyond this world. "She has awoken?" The woman's voice cracked like old wood, soft but certain. I hesitated, my bare feet cold against the stone, the night wind tugging at the loose sleeves of my gown. "Who is she?" I whispered to Kyle. "The seer," he said simply. "She served the royal line for as long as any living soul remembers." "And why am I here?" My voice shook, despite the steel I tried to put in it. The seer stepped forward, her hands hidden in the folds of her robe. "Because you must hear the truth of what you are. What I am." Kyle stiffened beside me, but said nothing. The seer circled me slowly, as if studying the edges of my soul. You bear the curse of the moon's betrayal, she said. It is woven into your blood, your breath. A love given to you is a love doomed. Any man who offers you his heart shall find death by your hand, whether you wish it or not. Her words hit like a blow. That's impossible. I shook my head, my heart pounding. I never asked for this. I don't even know who Selene is. Selene is you, she said, pausing in front of me. Or rather, you are what is left of her. The gods have given you another chance, but the curse remains. I stared at her, cold spreading through me like the night's breath. So I'm a monster, I said bitterly. That's what you're telling me. The seer's eyes softened, though they remained clouded and strange. You are not a monster, child. You are a vessel for sorrow. But sorrow need not be your end. Kyle shifted beside me. I glanced at him, searching his face for some denial, some comfort, but his jaw was tight, his gaze fixed on the stones at his feet. You knew, I said quietly. He didn't answer. You knew, I repeated, my voice rising with anger. You knew what I am, what I could do. And you said nothing. I meant to protect you, he said at last, his voice low. You've been through enough without that burden. Enough? I laughed, hollow and sharp. You think hiding the truth would spare me? Do you know what it feels like to look at yourself and not know what you are? Kyle stepped toward me, but I backed away, my hands trembling. Please, he said, reaching out. It changes nothing of my duty. I swore to stand at your side. Your duty? The words tasted of ash. Is that all I am to you? A duty? A curse to guard? He flinched, just barely, and I saw the crack in his armor, the flicker of guilt, of something more than duty that he refused to name. The seer's voice broke the silence. The choice will come, Selene reborn. The curse binds you still, but the path forward is yours to walk. How? My voice was hoarse, my throat tight. How do I break it? When the time comes, you will know. But beware, the heart you fear to touch may be the key, or the final victim. Her words sent a shiver through me deeper than any wind. I turned from them both, unable to bear their eyes, and stared at the broken fountain, at the reflection of the moon, fractured in the shallow pool of rainwater gathered in its basin. A vessel for sorrow. The night pressed close, and I wished I could vanish into it, but there was no escape from myself. The library was a maze of shadow and dust. The air smelled of old paper, ink long dried, and the faint smoke of the fire crackling low in the hearth. Shelves stretched to the ceiling, heavy with tomes bound in cracked leather, their titles faded by time. I ran my fingers along the spines as I passed, the rough edges catching at my skin. The room felt ancient, as if the weight of all it knew pressed down on me. I wasn't sure what I was looking for. Answers, maybe, or a way to wake from this nightmare. But part of me knew there was no waking. I stopped at a table in the center of the room, where a heavy book lay open. Its pages were yellowed, the ink faded but still legible. The script was elegant, the kind of handwriting that spoke of careful practice and noble blood. My gaze fell on a name. Selene of the Silver Veil. I froze. Beneath it, a story unfolded in delicate script. A princess beloved by the kingdom, her beauty likened to the moon, her heart promised to a knight of great renown. Betrayed in love, slain by the very hand that swore to protect her. A curse born of her dying breath, binding her fate to sorrow eternal. My breath caught. I read it again, slower, each word sinking deeper. Betrayed in love, slain by the very hand that swore to protect her. A chill rippled through me. I thought of June. His smile, his lies. The way his hand had reached too late as I fell. Why? Why was I here? Why had fate, or the gods or whatever ruled this cruel world, placed me in this role again? I turned the pages, hands trembling. The illustrations showed Selene, silver-haired, violet-eyed, wrapped in flowing gowns, standing beside a dark-haired knight. His face was sharp, proud, too familiar in ways that made my heart ache. Kyle, or someone who looked so much like him it hurt to breathe. I slammed the book shut, dust rising in a soft cloud. Is that what this is? A cycle? Am I doomed to repeat her mistakes, to die her death? The room felt colder, though the fire still burned. I sank into the chair beside the table, my head in my hands. Why am I always the fool? In my world, with June. In this world, with Kyle. I trusted. I believed. And it destroyed me. The fire's light flickered against the walls, making the shadows dance like ghosts. Somewhere in the distance, I thought I heard footsteps. Slow, measured. Kyle. No doubt searching for me. But I didn't move. I couldn't face him. Not now. Not when my heart felt like a shattered mirror, reflecting all the ways I'd been blind. I lifted my head and stared at the book's cover. The emblem embossed in the leather, a crescent moon, cracked through the center. Selene's story. My story. The pieces fell together, heavy and bitter. June's betrayal had pushed me to my death. And now? Now I carried the weight of Selene's curse, doomed to bring ruin to any man who dared to care. I wanted to scream, to tear the book apart, to rage against whatever power had decided this was my fate. But I didn't. Instead, I sat in the stillness of the library, the ghosts of betrayal pressing close. Why me? Why this again? I closed my eyes, trying to steady my breath. But the questions wouldn't leave me. If Selene was destroyed by love, and I am Selene, how do I escape what's already written? A soft creak of the door broke the silence. I didn't need to look to know it was Kyle. His voice was low, cautious. My lady. I didn't answer. Let him wonder. Let him feel the weight of all the things I couldn't say. Because I didn't trust myself to speak. Not when my heart was breaking all over again. The night was colder atop the tower. The wind tugged at my hair, now loose and silver in the starlight, and pulled at the edges of the cloak Kyle had draped over my shoulders when he found me wandering the empty corridors. The stars above were bright and sharp, scattered across the sky like shards of broken glass. Below, the sea whispered against the cliffs, a sound both soothing and haunting. Kyle stood beside me, silent. He hadn't spoken since we climbed the narrow steps. I could feel the tension in him, the weight of words he didn't want to say, or didn't know how. I stared out at the dark horizon, my hands clenched on the cold stone of the battlement. Why did you bring me here? I finally asked, my voice soft, carried off by the wind. Kyle's answer came after a long pause. Because here, I can tell you the truth. I turned my head, searching his face. His dark eyes were fixed on the sea, but there was something raw in them, something that made my heart ache. The truth? He nodded. The wind tousled his hair, and for once, he seemed less like the knight with unshakable resolve, and more like a man fighting ghosts. I knew her, he said quietly. The Selene before you? My breath caught. You loved her. He didn't deny it. I did. The honesty in his voice cut deeper than any lie could have. And you didn't tell me, I whispered. Kyle turned to face me then, the moonlight casting his features in silver and shadow. What could I say? That I see her in you? That every word, every glance reminds me of what I lost? His jaw clenched. I failed her. I swore to protect her, and I failed. The wind whipped around us, cold and wild, but I barely felt it. How? I asked, though part of me already knew. His gaze dropped to the stone beneath our feet. I hesitated. I saw the betrayal coming, but I didn't act. I let duty and fear keep me from her side until it was too late, and she died because of it. The pain in his voice was real, deep and old. I could feel it in my bones, as if the tower itself carried the memory of that night. And now? I asked, my voice trembling. Now what am I to you, Kyle? A second chance? A shadow of the woman you loved? His head snapped up, his eyes fierce. No, not a shadow, not a replacement. He stepped closer, the wind between us, but I didn't move away. You are her and you are not. The gods gave you back, or perhaps they gave me this curse, to see you again and know I can never fail you twice. His words sent a warmth through me I didn't want to feel. Don't believe him, the voice of my fear whispered. Don't let him in. You'll doom him too. Kyle? I started, but I didn't know what I meant to say. I don't ask for your trust, he said, his voice low, almost lost to the wind. But I give you mine, and my vow, whatever this curse is, whatever danger it brings, I will stand between you and it, always. Tears stung my eyes, unwanted. I turned away, staring at the sea, at the endless dark. I want to believe him. I want to believe there's a way this doesn't end in ruin. But the memory of the seer's words haunted me. A love given to you is a love doomed. I don't want you to die for me, I said, the words raw, torn from the heart of my fear. Kyle's hand hovered near mine on the battlement, not touching, but close enough that I felt the heat of him. Then let me live for you. I closed my eyes, the wind cold on my face, and wished the stars could tell me how this story ends. The moon poured silver light through the tall windows of my chamber, washing over the stone floor and the velvet canopy of the bed where I lay sleepless. The night was too quiet. Even the sea below seemed to hold its breath. Shadows crept along the walls, flickering and shifting as the breeze stirred the curtains. I pulled the blanket tighter around me, as if it could shield me from the unease that settled deeper with every passing moment. And then I heard it, soft at first, like the echo of a forgotten melody. A voice. You always were so easy to fool, Lina. My heart stopped. I sat up, scanning the room. Empty. But the voice, her voice, was unmistakable. Minji? I whispered, though I didn't want to say the name. Laughter, low and sweet, filled the room like a cold wind. Poor Lina. Poor Selene. You don't even know who you are anymore, do you? I turned toward the mirror, and there she was. Minji's reflection stood where mine should have been. Her face was the same as I remembered, delicate features, dark eyes that gleamed with secrets, lips curved in that knowing, cruel smile. But there was something different now, something hollow in her gaze. Why are you here? I demanded, my voice shaking with more anger than fear. Why am I here? She tilted her head, as if amused by my question. You brought me. Every thought of betrayal, every memory of how he chose me over you. You called me back. You can't let me go. You're not real. This is in my head. Is it? Her image flickered, like a candle guttering in the wind. Or am I closer than you think? Maybe I've always been part of you, the part that knows how this ends? I clenched my fists, trying to steady my breath. Kyle will betray you too, Minji whispered, her voice soft as silk. You feel it, don't you? That dread every time he looks at you? He's no different from June. No different from any of them? Stop it. You want to believe him. That's sweet. Her smile widened, sharp as broken glass. But you know how this story ends. You are the curse. You are the ruin. The moonlight seemed colder, the shadows thicker. I stood, bare feet on the chill stone, and faced the mirror. No, I said, my voice stronger now. I am not the curse. I am not you. Minji's image wavered, but her smile remained. Aren't you tired of pretending? You'll destroy him. You'll destroy yourself. Just like before. Just like always. Get out of my head. I'll leave when you stop calling me back. The glass cracked, a single line from top to bottom, splitting her face in two. Her image faded, the room falling silent again. I stood there, heart racing, until the first light of dawn broke the horizon. And for the first time since I awoke in this strange world, I felt like I had fought back. The air was sharp with the bite of morning as I climbed the slope behind the castle, the grass damp beneath my feet. The first light of dawn spilled over the horizon, painting the world in gold and rose. For a moment it was easy to pretend I was just a girl watching the sunrise, and not a cursed soul bound by a fate I didn't choose. Kyle followed in silence, his presence steady behind me. I could hear the soft tread of his boots on the earth, the faint rustle of his cloak in the breeze. At the crest of the hill stood the seer, her figure small and still against the endless sky. She turned as we approached, her clouded eyes seeming to see more than the world before her. You came, child, she said, voice rough as stone but not unkind. I nodded, swallowing the knot in my throat. I need to know, I said. How do I break this? Kyle stood at my side, silent, but I felt the tension in him, the way he held himself as if bracing for a blow. The seer's gaze moved between us, the wind pulling at the edges of her tattered robe. There is no easy path, she said. The curse was born of a heart shattered by betrayal. It can be broken only by a heart willing to shatter itself. What does that mean? I asked, though some part of me already knew. You must choose, she said simply. Renounce love, close your heart, and the curse will die with your loneliness. Or embrace love fully, knowing it may destroy the one you cherish most. The words hung heavy in the dawn's quiet. Renounce love, or risk losing him. Kyle stepped forward then, his voice low but sure. There is no choice for me, he said, looking at me as if I was the only thing left in the world worth seeing. I have loved you once. I love you still. If death comes for me, let it come. I will not run from what I feel. His words struck me like the wind itself, leaving me breathless. Kyle? I whispered, tears burning at the edges of my vision. Don't ask me to walk away, he said. Don't ask me to live half a life, watching from a distance. The seer watched in silence, as if the outcome no longer belonged to her. I turned away, staring out at the rising sun. The light touched everything, made the sea below shimmer, made the world feel clean and new. But I didn't feel new. I felt broken, caught between hope and fear. If I let myself love him, I could lose him. If I let him go, I'll lose myself. I closed my eyes, the breeze lifting my hair, and wished the choice were simple. I don't want to be the reason you die, I said, my voice trembling. Kyle's hand found mine, warm, steady. Then let me be the reason you live. The wind carried the scent of salt and pine, the promise of a day yet to be written. And I stood between two futures, unable to choose, but knowing I would have to. The abandoned chapel stood hidden deep within the forest, its stone walls cracked, its roof half collapsed beneath the weight of years. The stained glass above the altar was shattered, only shards of colored glass clinging stubbornly to the rusted frame. Moonlight spilled through the holes, painting the ruined floor in fractured hues of red and gold. I stepped inside, the door groaning on its rusted hinges. The air smelled of damp earth and forgotten prayers. This was where it would end. Minji was waiting. Her form rose from the shadows near the altar, pale and perfect, just as she had always been in my memory. But there was something hollow in her now, a flicker of the void where a soul should have been. So brave, she said, her voice soft as silk, mocking. Coming here all alone. Not alone, I said, though Kyle wasn't at my side. Not yet. But I felt him with me, in the strength I'd found, in the choice I'd already made. Minji drifted closer, her feet not touching the ground, her dark eyes gleaming. You could end this so easily. Let me in. Let me take the burden from you. No more fear. No more waiting for the moment you ruin him. I shook my head. No. You're not here to help me. You never were. Her smile faltered, just for a heartbeat. You think you're better than me? You think you can break what we are? I'm not you, I said, my voice steady. And I never was. The wind howled through the broken windows, scattering dead leaves across the floor. Minji's form flickered, her beauty twisting into something desperate, something furious. He'll betray you, like June, like all of them. And when he does, you'll wish you'd let me have you now. No, I said again, louder this time. The chapel seemed to tremble with the force of it. I forgive you. That stopped her. What? I forgive you, I repeated, for what you were, for what you became, and I forgive myself for holding on to the hurt. I'm done. Minji's form began to waver, pieces of her dissolving into mist. You can't. I can. Light burst through the shattered glass, the first rays of dawn breaking over the trees. The shadows fled before it, and Minji with them, her scream fading into the wind. And with her, the weight I'd carried for so long lifted, leaving only the quiet and the promise of morning. Kyle's voice called my name, and I turned as he entered the chapel, breathless, worry in his eyes. Are you hurt? No, I said. And for the first time it was true. He crossed to me, taking my hands in his warmth grounding me. It's over, I said. The curse. Her shadow. It's gone. Kyle looked at me as if seeing me anew, and the fear that had kept my heart locked away melted like frost beneath the rising sun. Then let's begin again, he said. And I knew we would, free at last, to choose our own ending. The field stretched out behind the castle, wildflowers swaying gently in the early breeze. The sky burned gold and pink, the last of the night's shadows retreating before the warmth of the new day. The world felt clean, like the earth itself had been washed by the storm of all that had come before. Kyle stood beside me, his cloak loose around his shoulders, his dark hair stirred by the wind. His hand brushed mine, no longer hesitant, no longer afraid. We watched the sun crest the distant hills, light spilling over the land like a promise. It's beautiful, I said softly, my voice barely above a whisper. Kyle glanced at me, his eyes reflecting the dawn. It is, he agreed. But not as beautiful as the freedom I see in your face. I smiled, a real smile this time, not one shaped by fear or doubt. It feels strange, I admitted. Like I've been holding my breath for so long, I forgot what it was to breathe. He took my hand, lacing his fingers through mine. Then breathe with me now, he said. There's nothing left to fear. We stood in silence for a while, letting the light warm our skin, the scent of grass and wildflowers filling the air. The weight that had clung to me, the curse, the shadows, the ghosts, had slipped away with the night. Kyle broke the quiet, his voice gentle but sure. We can leave this place if you wish. Start over somewhere far from these stones and their memories. I turned to face him, searching his eyes. You want to start with a clean slate? He shook his head, a small knowing smile on his lips. No, not a clean slate. A new chapter. One that remembers where we've been but writes its own story. The wind carried his words, soft as the morning itself, and I felt them settle deep within me. I like that better, I said. A new chapter. Ours? He drew me closer, and for the first time I let myself lean into him fully. Not as Selene, not as Lina the betrayed, but simply as me, a woman who had finally chosen to stop running from her own heart. The sun rose higher, casting long shadows behind us but lighting the path ahead. For so long I thought I was bound to repeat the same ending. But maybe, just maybe, I was meant to learn how to choose differently. I took a deep breath, filling my lungs with the cool, sweet air of morning. Let's see where this chapter takes us, I said. Kyle's grip on my hand tightened, steady and sure. Together, he promised. And as we walked forward into the light, I felt free, truly free, for the first time.